Welcome to Impact OC, the only program showcasing the people and organizations shaping Orange County. With your host, Don Camber.
Hello, live from the OC Talk Radio studios at UCI's Beale Applied Innovation Center. I'm OC Talk Radio Public Affairs Director Don Camber with another great guest impacting our community in a positive way. Today, I welcome Community Action Partnership of Orange County's President and CEO, Gregory C. Scott. He leads the Orange County branch of the nationwide nonprofit known as Community Action Partnership, which seeks to end poverty by stabilizing, sustaining, and empowering people with the resources they need when they need them. Thank you, Gregory, for being on Impact OC.
Awesome, Dawn. Thank you for having me. I'm honored to be here, honored to meet you and spend some time with you.
Gregory, please explain the clients you serve and how you're able to achieve your mission.
Well, we're able to achieve our mission because when you think about what's happening in the world, especially what happened in March 2020 when our world was upside down. And so for over 55 years, we've been helping families and helping individuals and seniors all the way to infants who are dealing with poverty. And so that goes from single family, single parent, single household-led household parents to seniors to young people. So our demographics kind of run all over the place. But what happened in March 2020 really shined the light on those individuals who are dealing with poverty. Dealing with a global pandemic was hard enough. Dealing with housing prices, especially here in Orange County, is hard enough. But when you throw poverty on top of a global pandemic, it just made the situation a lot worse for a lot of our neighbors who we see every single day.
So how are you able to do it specifically?
We're able to do it. We have a few different strategies. We really focus on hunger, and malnutrition is a big strategy of ours through our OC Food Bank. We partner with about over 300 different partners in the community, from soup kitchens to churches to other nonprofits, and we distribute food throughout the county and through that distribution center. One of the ways that we're able to do that, we serve over 25,000 seniors with food boxes every single month. If I gave some numbers, if you look at 2019, prior to the pandemic, we did about 23 million pounds of food. And we really thought that was kind of a big deal until 2020 hit. In 2020, we did 63 million pounds of food. We almost tripled that number. And what we saw in that process of all the food distributions that we were doing, what we saw in that process was that we had a new group of people who were showing up. And that new group of people we call them the newly vulnerable, were people who were dealing with unemployment, may have a mortgage, may have a car payment, but were now in our line getting food. And so that's one of the strategies that we use. We try to really address immediate needs so that, as you did the introduction, really addressing people's immediate needs when they need us, want to be there when they need us the most. So that's one of the ways. The other way we do it through rental assistance. We help people who are struggling paying their rent. Utility assistance, those individuals who are struggling paying their utility bills. But then we have three family resource centers, one in Santa Ana, there's one in Orange, there's also one in Anaheim, which I think is really the heartbeat of what we do. And at those family resource centers, we wrap a lot of services around families who are in need.
So do people access the services through the family resource centers, or how do they access your services?
Well, they can access it through the family resource centers. We've been around for so long that I believe we've become really a trusted organization within the region. So one way is by word of mouth. Another way is through other nonprofits, through referrals that we get. Could be 211, could be through United Way, could be a lot of the other partners that we have that also do referrals. But the family resource centers are also in the community. They've been in the community for a long time, and so we've had generations of people and family members who've come through family resource centers and know that we're there and able to help them.
And you're empowering people to take care of themselves. How do you do that?
Well, we do it through, because at the end of the day, this is not about just giving out food boxes, and it's not about just helping people with their utility bills. This is about transformation. And this is about how do we really change the trajectory of a family's life and for generations. So we use a whole family approach. It's a 2-generation approach So we're working with young people. We have an education program. We have an after-school program. We have a STEM program. But we also have a workforce development program where we're working with parents through resume writing, resume building, helping them really set a career goal, and how do we really put them in a position where they can really change their career. Thus, this is really about how do they change their financial future. But we also believe that education is a pathway out of poverty. And so how do we really educate young people that as they grow and become adults, that they're not living in poverty themselves? And I always use my own story. I was born and raised in the housing projects in New Jersey. And my mom made sure I went to college. And by me going to college, my children and my grandchildren and the future generations won't have to live in poverty. And so I'm a believer in it. I'm a believer in education, but I'm also a believer in helping parents really change their career goals and help them build the skills they need to move forward.
Can you give us an example of a family using your services?
Absolutely. I mean, one great story, and then I'll tell a different story, but one great story, every holiday season, we do something called Hope for the Holidays, and we're gearing up for that again this year. And we have a corporate partner that is part of our Adopt a Family program. And we had a family of 12, mother and father and 10 children. And they didn't know this, but our corporate partner bought them all gifts. And it was like Christmas in our building, Christmas in our boardroom, because they bought. I mean, if you would see the pictures and see the tears from the children all the way up to the parents, how appreciative they were, and without our program, they would not have had the type of holiday season that they had, and it was simply amazing. That same corporate partner is also partnering with us to do a STEM program. Throughout our entire organization and with a lot of the young people in our program. So we're very excited about that. But I've seen countless families and heard countless stories of single moms who've come through our program. We have a diaper bank as well. They may have come to get diapers, but then they access some of our other services as well, whether it's food, whether it's utility assistance, getting into our workforce development program, getting into our couples program, where we also work with couples on communication skills, on parenting skills, a fatherhood program. We also have financial empowerment, where there's a 5-week budgeting program, how to save, and really take them through really, money 101 to help them kind of move forward and learn the skills they need to kind of move forward.
So where do they access these services?
They can access it through our website. We're at www.capoc.org, but certainly visiting any one of our centers where they can also get that address on our website as well. They can access those services there as well.
So the classes are offered from the Family Resource Centers?
From the Family Resource Centers, absolutely.
How are you funded?
Well, I mean, we're probably like most nonprofits. We're shaking every tree, but we probably get the majority of our funds through government grants that we apply for and able to get. And then the other 20-25% we are out there raising through fundraisers. We have a really great event coming up called our Hope for the Holidays season. So this event is our Night of Hope, and that's coming up on October 2nd. And so that's one of our major fundraisers of the year. But other than that, we are going after corporate partners to really invest in the work that we're doing.
Now, during the pandemic, did you find more clients than before the pandemic?
Absolutely. There were more people in need. Unemployment was at a very high rate. We've never seen a pandemic like this in our lifetime. And then when you throw unemployment on top of that, because a lot of the service industries have shut down, a lot of hotels shut down, a lot of restaurants shut down. A lot of people we serve may work 2 or 3 jobs in that industry. But now those industries have now shut down for over a year. Who knew that Disneyland was shut down? If someone would have said that a year prior, 3 weeks prior, you would not have believed it. But all those service industries has shut down. That really impacted not only the people that we serve, but as I stated earlier, then we had a newly vulnerable group of people that we were now serving who are now knocking on our door for help. And most people think it's Orange County. But throughout these 34 cities in Orange County, there's pockets of not only poverty, but homelessness, people who are on the verge of poverty. So it's important for us to really realize that, educate people, that just because it's Orange County does not mean that there's not vulnerability, economic vulnerability in this great county.
What are the requirements to get services?
Our requirements are limited, but some of our services have a income requirement, and we go through that process of doing their paperwork and going through that process. If they don't qualify, we're able to refer them to other programs throughout the community. As I said, we have over 300 partners that we really work with throughout the county, where there's no door that's closed. Every door is open, and there's no service that we are going to deny people. We're going to try to help everybody that we can.
So if someone needs something immediately, do they reach out to your organization?
They reach out to our organization if it's food, if it's rental assistance, if it's utility assistance. If they're in a crisis, we're able to help them there as well and refer them to the right avenue for them to get the kind of help that they really need.
What are the demographics of your clients?
Our demographics probably are mostly single-led households, and many of them are single mothers. Probably 3 to 4 children in that particular household. But we also have a lot of couples who are also struggling, working 2 and 3 jobs. They're not only unemployed, but many of them are also underemployed. So our demographics probably are all over the place. Again, sometimes I call them the invisible population, because there are people that you wouldn't normally think would need our services or need our help or struggling with poverty. And so we go about our business as though they don't exist, but they exist, and thousands of them exist right here in the county. We're seeing homelessness rise. We're seeing more and more people who are losing their home. We see more and more people who can't afford to live in Orange County. So we see a lot of people who are on the verge. And as I said, when you throw in a pandemic, a global pandemic, poverty is hard enough. And then when you throw in a global pandemic, and now we deal with inflation. And so some food items that are basic are now double the cost. Gas is double the cost. So all the basic things that we talk about is double the cost. Healthcare is a high cost for a lot of individuals. And so trying to create equity across the board, trying to help family navigate through inflation and navigate through high housing prices, navigate through getting food. And many of them have to make a decision. Do I pay the rent or do I buy food? And now we have school coming back. And so when school shut down, for many of the children that we serve, that free lunch that they were getting at school may have been the only meal they were getting for the day. And then school shut down. And then they had to navigate through, now how do we do this? How do we do school at home when they didn't have internet and they're struggling with food? And so I think that's where the magic of our organization comes around. We're able to help people really navigate through that process and give them the tools they need to really thrive.
Do you have a lot of volunteers that help you, or is it pretty much paid staff?
Volunteers. So our model, our business model, especially within our food bank, we cannot do what we do without the 18,000 volunteers who come through our food bank every single year, and many of them are corporations who send in volunteers. They're individuals, they're churches, the soccer team, they're the basketball team. So we have a lot of volunteers, but we cannot do what we do without the community really getting involved through volunteerism.
So how do they feel doing it?
Tears, a lot of care. You'll be amazed, even during the pandemic, where in the beginning of the pandemic we lost a lot of volunteers. Then they begin to slowly come back as things begin to open up. But it just shows how much people care about our neighbors. And this is about all of our neighbors in the community. When they understand that they are helping a senior get food for that month, it makes a difference. When they understand that they're helping a single mom get diapers, it makes a difference. And so talking to volunteers, even hearing their stories, because we also have some volunteers who are recipients of the services that we provide. And this is not a requirement. They do it because they want to. They want to help their neighbors, someone else who's struggling. So they come in and they may volunteer and help pack boxes or help do something else within the center that makes a difference for someone else. And it just shows the magic of people when our heart is in the right place. And at the end of the day, it's about love. It's about our heart being in the right place. How do we help our neighbors? And so I think we are putting ourselves in a position where we want to be that organization that people come to when they're struggling and they're dealing with poverty, because they know Community Action Partnership, who's been around for over 55 years. We're part of a national network. We were born out of the war on poverty. And kudos to the Johnson administration during that time period when many families, because of the racism and racial justice that was happening during that time, and unfortunately racism is married to poverty, and especially systematic racism. But the response from the administration during that time was Community Action Partnership. So now we have 1,000 what we call CAP agencies across the country, almost in every county in this country, that's helping families dig their way out of poverty.
How do the clients feel? I
think that the clients are appreciative that we're there. I can speak for my team here in Orange County. I have an amazing team. I have staff members who have been there for 30 years, 20 years, 7 years, who really care about this community and really care about the work that they do. Our clients know when they walk through the door, they're walking through the door in a safe environment where people care about them and able to give them the services that they need.
And how long will they be online with services with you?
It all depends. So, we've had some individuals who have, been around for years. And I think, the shift in our organization is not just providing service, but how do we really advocate for systematic change in the community? How do we really advocate and create the right program model, this whole family approach model that we're trying to create, that we really want to help people get out of poverty? I can't wait for the day, instead of bragging about 63 million pounds of food that we give out, I can't wait for the day that we brag about the 10 million pounds of food that we give out, because that's all that was needed. And so that's what I'm excited about in terms of what our organizations focus on: economic mobility, financial empowerment, youth development, and making sure that we have resilient communities. And by meeting immediate needs, having healthy homes, having nutritional food, meeting immediate needs, for me, that's what it's all about.
Thank you, Community Action Partnership of Orange County President and CEO Gregory C. Scott, for being on Impact OC. And I thank everyone for tuning in. I'm OC Talk Radio Public Affairs Director Dawn Camber. Have an impactful day.
You've been listening to Impact OC, the only program showcasing the people and organizations shaping our community. Right here on Orange County's only community radio station, OC Talk Radio.